Hello and welcome back to Tales from the Grim on this fine Sunday. As we head into our Skychasers finale, I am very excited. We have all of our friends and family here today. Welcome back to Hawkeye, who is joining us once more as our guest as we journey back to Vegas after our last two flashback episodes. Before we get into the show today, I want to remind you all to hit the retweet and let people know we're going live. Shout out for the last time, our 1950s X-Files adventure with this wonderful cast here on Tales from the Grim. I would also like to remind you that we have interactions that you can check out down below. These have a huge impact in our game and could save someone's life. Maybe literally. I don't know. Speaking of not knowing, we are a game of mystery. And there are many mysteries swirling around our characters. Let's zoom in back to Vegas, down along the strip with its glittering lights, its busy traffic, and its hopeful walkers. Let's go to the motel just around the corner. This rickety balcony of fire escapes that look out over an abandoned parking lot. And up into the window where there is light shining, we hear a shower running. Dr. Nash.
While Maggie is rinsing her hair, Dr. Nash sits on the bed of the hotel room. She's looking down at the flask between her hands and anxiously spinning the cap open and closed. And she says as much to Maggie in the bathroom as to herself. It feels like we've been in this godforsaken town forever. Does it feel like the longer we sit here, the harder it is to remember how we got here? We crashed in the desert. I flew a plane. Betty was the plane. You called some friends. Friends we thought we could trust. And we got a ride. A motel room. Discretion. Baseball cards, but not the right cards. They didn't know how to talk to Chris. And Betty didn't know anything. Betty has no memory of who she is, of who we are. But Robert knew who Betty was. He hadn't been with us, but ended up in the parking lot of our motel, and it's like it was fate. He saw her. Was it fate? Or did someone put him here? Did Adam Flint put him here? Flint's the boss. He assigned Robert to the mission that brought him to this motel, but he couldn't have known we'd be here. Or could he have? Damn Flint. Can't trust him anymore. Could we ever have? Oh, and that preacher, that we saw him on the street and how he stared at Betty and her eyes, her bright blue eyes. And Robert working with the preacher, and the preacher staying in this very motel. Is this the only motel in Vegas? Ridiculous, Rhonda. But the FBI, well, they were definitely prepared for us all to be here. The whole place had been bugged. I guess it's not as safe here as we thought it would be. Good thing we figured that out before we said too much. Good thing we got Chris, Robert, and Betty out of here. Good thing Robert lives so close. They'll all be safe with Robert's family, right? Just his wife and his little boy there. But will we be safe here? Not for long, I suspect, but we'll try our best, right, Maggie? You and I? In our Vegas disguises? As we wait for the arrival of high-level files on you, on Adam Flint, on Captain Robert Dabrowski. And I'll inspect you while we wait. The room is ready. And Rhonda looks down at the flask between her hands and decidedly takes a long, healthy swig. And now so am I.
And Maggie, you have been in the bathroom tending your hair with the boxes of dye and bleach that you'd managed to pick up earlier in the evening on a small excursion out onto the strip. You're changing your appearance. You hear Rhonda talking to you through the door, but it's distant. Part of you wonders if it's in your mind, if you're just hearing her thinking, or if she is actually speaking to you. It's confusing. And then those notes, those remembered notes, that remembered song, La Vie en Rose, just undermining all of it, playing to you from another time and another place. And you remember being stood outside the bakery, staring at the men who were trying to hatch a deal, staring at that one man, Thomas, as he spoke into the back of your mind. That was the first time you'd ever heard anyone in your head. And he'd ordered you to go with him. And so you'd run off into the little town in Italy and disappeared. Pain. That's what you remember. The pain of flesh being cut open, of something being jammed into your arm, something being fed into your spine and up into your mind. And you remember the isolation of that small base in the desert, where you thought you were losing everything, where Betty had appeared but she hadn't been there, and the doctor. Every day you'd have the same conversation with him, over and over, except that one day, been a different doctor. You hadn't noticed it then, you'd been so feverish, so sick. Thomas had been there, at that base in the desert. That German doctor, the man who watched, the man who worked for the mafia, for the Nazis. He'd been there in that American base. And as you straighten up and you have the head rush of blood rushing back to where it should be in your body, it's his eyes and his voice that speak to you over the top of La Vie en Rose. He tells you, "It's time, Maggie. It is time." And Dr. Nash has fallen quiet on the other side of the door. The room is ready.
I imagine that Maggie steps out of the shower to the sink and after hearing that just wipes the mirror free of the fog and just has a long, hard look at herself and blinks. And she takes in the new appearance of the hair that she's dyed, looks down at the scar on her arm and kind of... Is it still glowing to Maggie at this point? Yeah. And she's just kind of running her fingers along it. She shakes off the voice in her head, hoping it was nothing more than a bad memory. She wraps the towel back around herself and walks out into the main room to find the doctor. Still looking a bit shaken and a little bit kind of, not quite bleary-eyed, but just wide-eyed in shock and a bit of fear as she comes out kind of clutching it, looking, normally she presents quite strong, but actually looking quite, small and kind of meek and worried as she comes out of the bathroom.
And as Dr. Nash sees you for the first time following your transformation, how does your hair appear now?
So Maggie has bleached her hair blonde, but on top of that, she has dyed it black, so that as it kind of looks like it has been dyed black. So it almost looks like not a fresh dye, but something that's been dyed maybe a few weeks ago, and the regrowth is coming in to keep it looking believable. And it's she hasn't cut her hair in a while as this has been going on, so she's actually cut it quite short, much shorter than she wears it, and she's pulled the very tight ringlet curls and that kind of Hollywood style she normally has. She's pulled all of those out and kind of scraped it back so that they flatten more as well.
Dr. Nash, have you laid out any instruments for what you intend to do here tonight?
So Dr. Nash carries with her a bag, typically, not many surgical instruments, as that's not necessarily her specialty, but whatever tools she has are sitting on the night table. And she's not exactly sure what Maggie is really hoping to find through this examination. So she's prepared as generally as what she has with her will allow. She turns to Maggie and says, "Looks good, girl. I don't think anyone's going to be recognizing you anytime soon."
I hope not. Before we start this, thank you, Rhonda, really. But also, she goes over to where her clothes are piled, probably on the other bed, searches around for her wallet, and she goes into it to pull out she carries a piece of paper with her that's just got a couple of telephone numbers on. And she comes over with the wallet looking for the paper and hands it to Rhonda. Says, "If anything should happen to me when we do this, it's telephone numbers for my family. If you could call them, and please."
Maggie, what are you expecting? Or what are you expecting to happen? What are you expecting to find?
I don't know. That's the problem. Dr. Nash, I don't know what I'm expecting to find. But I've never told you where I got this scar, have I?
No, ma'am, you have not.
When I was in the CIA back in the war, I headed a team that was doing an extraction on what we believed was a Russian scientist that was acting as a double agent. Had something that the US wanted that could turn the tides of the war. So we went into Italy. We tried to recover this person, this asset. And it all went horribly wrong. The team that came before us were killed. I don't know what happened to anybody else on that team I was with. I don't know what happened to any of them. There was a fight, and then there was a voice in my head from a man that couldn't possibly have been in my head. And the next thing I know is I woke up crawling on my hands and knees back to our safe house after half of that village had been bombed by the Allied forces. They never told me what happened. And it wasn't a few missions after that is when, well, after the end of the war, it's when I ended up here. So I don't know how I got this scar, Rhonda. It was there, and it wasn't before, and I don't know. So if anything does happen, these are people that I need you to call.
Rhonda takes the piece of paper from her and kind of holds Maggie's hand a little longer than is necessary to take the paper. Says, "You have my word, Miss Davis."
Thank you. And she kind of takes her wallet and kind of chucks that on the bed as she sits down next to Rhonda and just kind of places her arm out with the scar facing up.
One of the tools that Rhonda has in her bag that she rarely uses is a scalpel. And she reaches for it. And she holds Maggie's arm, palm facing up. She says, "This is going to sting a bit."
Maggie she's got like a hand towel that she's brought out of the bathroom with her and just puts it between her teeth and just bites on it, holding the top of her arm steady, and just nods. But she doesn't shut her eyes. She watches as Rhonda does this.
Okay, Rhonda.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you to make a medical or a first aid check.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. I think I have an advantage. I don't see on the screen. Someone confirm that.
I'll say
Oh, I have 2.
2.
Well, I definitely want to use 1. Let's see how we do. And it's a good thing. That first one was a fail. Extreme success!
Okay, describe for me how Dr. Nash goes about this, and I'll describe for you anything you find.
Deftly. She looks at Maggie and she says, "All right, Miss Davis, just breathe." And as to distract herself a little, she begins humming La Vie en Rose as she puts the scalpel to Maggie's arm and cuts along the scar to open it up. She uses the tip of the scalpel to peel back some of the skin a little bit to poke around and see what she could see, obviously avoiding any major veins or arteries, like any good doctor.
And you are careful and precise with your incision, and you poke around with caution and care. And I need you to make a power check, please.
Hard success.
Okay. It's gory. Blood flows easily from this cut. But that's not what is disturbing. As you go deeper and you look closer, you see this fine tube, what we would consider to appear like fiber optic. It seems to almost glow, and it's got this blue light to it. And it's as if hardwired in another vein, another capillary, something like that. But it is strange, and it should not be in a person's body to your knowledge. And it's delicate, it's fine, and it glows. And the more you look at it, the more the entire incision glows. This red light, it's warm, and this tiny thin thread of blue. And you can see it coils all the way up her arm, all the way to the elbow.
Does it stop at the elbow from what I can see? Or is that as far as I can see?
As far as you can see is to the elbow, unless you'd like to cut further. But you could consider with an extreme that it probably goes further.
Yeah, Maggie's scar runs the length of like elbow to wrist on her forearm. So
Dr. Nash grabs Maggie's other hand, the one that not on the arm that she's operating on, and kind of gives her a good firm squeeze. Says, "Your call, Maggie. Do I take it out? Or do you want me to investigate further?"
is the blood loss going to kill me?
I'm being told no. No.
You believe that you can manage this right now.
Like Maggie is like gritting her teeth against this. Like she's muffled through it because she doesn't even want to take it out in case she clenches down. She's like, I remember a pain in my spine. See if it goes up further.
All right.
I don't remember having that put in me.
You just keep clenching. And you might want to turn away.
And this time she does. She kind of nods and clenches back on it and just looks the other way. And she kind of grips at whatever her other hand can as this carries on.
Okay.
And
Edelyn, I'd
further.
like you to make an additional medicine check. Because you got an extreme, I will allow you to do this at advantage again. To continue that. And Maggie, I'd like you to make a constitution check.
Hard success for me.
And a success on my roll with advantage.
This is pain, Maggie. It's fresh and sharp, and your body wants to be away from it. And there is blood just seeping down from your arm onto the towels that have been laid over the bed sheets. But you grit and you bear it because you want your answers. You want to see how far this goes. And Dr. Nash, you continue your incision, cautious, careful, precise. And you journey following that thin blue thread through Maggie's body. And it goes all the way up to her shoulder. It coils and weaves and winds, but it's there. And as you follow it, as you trace it through her body, that red light grows, and so does that blue, till it's a sharp ultraviolet, harsh. It makes it easier for you to follow, easier for you to find and predict where it's going to be. But it hurts to look at directly. How far do you follow the line?
Maggie would ask you to follow as far as it's safe for you to do so.
Maggie, I can only assume that this goes to your spine. And I am certainly not a spinal surgeon. I know you want answers, but I don't even know if getting this out is going to give you the answers you desire.
Those files. I need to see those files. Somebody back at that facility, somebody knew they were talking about something, some surgery and technology. If we can just see those files, then... I mean, I want it out, but I don't want you to cut anything in case it does something worse.
Maggie, I'd like you to make another constitution check.
Success.
You feel that wooziness that comes. You're basically having your arm ripped open with a very sharp knife all the way up. You manage to control your consciousness, manage to focus on the present for now.
Maggie will grab some of the other towels that we put round and start kind of wrapping that wound along the length of her arm, tying it where she can just to help with the blood loss. And we'll look at the doctor. I think it might be best to wait until we see those files, until we find out what this is. Because if the CIA didn't put this in me, then they might have information on who did.
Do you want me to stitch you up while we wait?
It might be best. Doctor, you remember, and I imagine like as Dr. Rhonda begins stitching her up, she'll say, do you remember once when I asked you if hearing voices was normal?
I remember.
I heard a voice in the shower. The voice of the man who was the first person I ever heard in my head telling me it was time. I don't know.
For what?
I don't know. But it's not the first time. I heard voices in my head back on a mission a while back in Salem when... And that's the moment as Maggie's kind of retelling some of these stories to Dr. Rhonda about when she has heard voices in her head, now seeing no point in hiding any of this because it might come out in all of these files. She remembers the tarot cards in her wallet that she hasn't looked at in a very, very long time. And like midway through you stitching her up, will move to grab them and pull them out. When a woman gave me these. As she finishes the story and shows the tarot card, I don't remember what it was now, the Wheel of Fortune and the... Was it Ten of Swords, Charlie?
King of Swords.
King of Swords.
What are these, Miss Davis?
I hadn't thought about them in a long time. A very long time. There's been so many cases between that one and now, but we ended up in a small town and a strange woman who disappeared in front of our eyes. Me, Betty, and Greg. Greg? Sorry. Chris. She disappeared into thin air, into this pile of tarot cards. Claimed she was a psychic. Writings all over the walls and notebooks. I tried for ages to figure them out until I got too busy and forgot. She told me I was a herald of something terrible.
Do you hear her voice?
Not anymore, not since that day. She tried though, it's like she was trying to warn me of something, but it was all through cards and numbers, and I couldn't make sense of any of it.
Is there anything that, Charlie, that Dr. Nash could perhaps be making sense of out of this that Maggie might not get?
Do you think Dr. Nash would have any prior understanding of tarot cards?
With all of the cases that she had dealt with patients' disappearance, she did a lot of studying of the occult, looking into just a variety of possibilities. So perhaps.
Okay, so I'll allow you to make a relevant knowledge check.
Would that be occult?
Yep.
No, not with tarot cards.
So the best you can glean is that people like to use tarot cards to make sense of things in their lives. The pictures have elements that they find easy to manipulate and relate to themselves, like horoscopes, things like that. You know, numbers of your patients have done similar things to see patterns, to find sense in things that don't make sense to them.
Mm-hmm. Maggie, did she tell you what she thought these pictures meant, besides you being a herald?
No, there were notebooks. There were so many notebooks, each one of them talking about different spreads and what things might have meant, fragments of information, but mostly referring back to other card numbers and spreads. But the weird thing is we'd never met her until that day. And Chris was mentioned in at least one of them.
Did Chris see the notebooks?
He'd seen them.
What did he make of them?
Not much. All I know is we never saw that woman again. I tried checking in with the house she was at a few months after that case, but no one had seen her. She was just gone.
At this point, I would like to move to someone else who is disappearing before Obadiah's very eyes. His contact Jesse bundled into a car that is speeding away down the strip. He'd gone to meet Jesse, sent him for information. gone to the meeting place just outside of an off-license, a liquor store. And Jesse is going, panicked, to Ben, pulling him into a vehicle and driving. Obi.
Yeah, I see him getting bundled in. First time I scream out his name, Jesse. I'm coming for you. And I reach into my jacket, and inside the holster there, I pull out the pearl handle Colt 45 revolver that I always carry around with me just in case. And is he bundled in the car yet as I get closer?
Yeah, you can see he's basically being shoved into the back seat.
Okay.
Someone following in behind him. The door is half closed as the car is already moving up and
Do
away.
I have an angle to shoot at the rear tires?
Yes.
All right, I want to shoot its tires out if I can.
All right, so make those shots for me.
Okay.
All right. As you go to shoot, there is a click. And for a terrible moment, you hold your breath. The bullet should have left the gun. Does Obi look after his weapon?
He takes pretty good care of it. Doesn't have to use it too often. He carries it more for protection than anything else because you never know what you're going to run into on the streets here in Vegas late at night with the people he's trying to rescue. But he does take pretty good care of it. It is an heirloom that was gift that was given to him when he left Newport, Kentucky, and came down to Vegas.
And you try and remember the last time you cleaned out this weapon, the last time you took care of it. You thought it was only a couple of weeks ago, but maybe it was longer.
I quickly try to slide the chamber out and try to see if I can pull that bullet out that's not fired as quick as I can.
So make a dexterity for me. Okay, and that was a hard success. So you hold your breath, and for a terrifying moment, you wonder if this gun is about to explode in your face, and you quickly shove that chamber to release the bullet, and you see it pop and fly and tumble down into your feet, clinging and clattering across the tarmac. Someone next to you has noticed you had a gun and, shocked, calls out, "Gun!" and there's panic beginning to spread on the streets. And that car is just making its way away from you.
Too far away for me to get a second shot off?
You think it will be hard? You probably have one shot at this point.
Can I try to get the license plate number on it?
Okay, so you would have a choice to either shoot or to take the license plate.
At this point, I think trying to get a shot off is going to be too dangerous because of all the people around, so I'm going to try to see if I can at least get the license plate number.
Okay. And I'll say that you can just do this. It's out there on the strip, and the strip is fairly well lit. So you look out and you see the license plate, and you note it down. It is a Nevada plate.
Okay.
I didn't have a specific number to give you.
I'll just write something down.
Mm-hmm. You can just make a note that you have its license plate.
All right. Was I able to figure out the make and the model of the car as well?
It's a dark saloon car.
Probably a standard black Lincoln Continental kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right. As the car pulls off, I holster my gun real quick and I run inside the liquor store.
All right. And as you go in, you see that the owner has pulled his own weapon. He's heard the shouts of gun outside and is preparing himself to be robbed. Mm-hmm. And he's not willing to go quietly into that good night.
Yeah.
And he levels.
I go in with my hands up the gun. All's clear out there. I need to use your phone. It's an emergency.
And he squints at you, and I'd like you to make a luck roll, please.
Okay.
And it is your lucky day as he squints and he recognizes you. He's seen you around. He's seen you talking to Jesse and his other regulars. He knows that you're the street preacher, and he lowers his weapons and gives you the thumb to go into the back where the phone is.
All right, I quickly use the phone to call one of my old contacts back in my, shall we say, more nefarious days in the casinos and all that. And I know he has a quick way to identify cars and vehicles. And I tell him, looked like it was a black Ford, looked like it was black Lincoln Continental, Nevada plates, license tag BR549. I need to know whose car that is right away. They just kidnapped an associate of mine.
Call you back on this number?
What's that?
He asked if he should call you back on this number.
How long do you think it's going to take?
I don't know, it's kind of late, Obi. Maybe half an hour?
Call Mabel at my hotel. Give her the information there.
Yes, sir. And he clicks off. He has a number to go and run.
All right, I quickly ran outside, threw a dollar bill on the counter to thank the guy at the liquor store. Then I head outside and see if there's anyone else out there I recognize.
You head out into the crowd. Who are you looking for?
I'm looking for anybody familiar, like maybe people I've worked with, I've helped out in the past, or just people I know just from being a part of the community.
All right, so let's call this a luck roll as well.
Okay. They've all ran off because they saw the gun.
You look around and a lot of your regulars would. They'd slink back into the shadows. They don't want to get caught seeing anything they shouldn't see or being seen anywhere they shouldn't be. You could probably hunt some down, some regular haunts, but out on the strip, a lot of people are head down at this point. The threat seems to have gone away, but they're wary, and you don't see anyone you recognize.
All right, let me see if I can find someone hiding in the shadows. I don't have time to waste.
Okay, so make an investigation style roll. What could we do? We could have spot hidden.
Okay. Spot hidden, here we go.
You go around the back of the liquor store where people like to drink out of the paper bags in the quiet. You head to the bars. You check out the lines for people wanting to go in the casinos. You even go into one casino and have a look around. The slots are popular with a few of your friends. But no one you recognize seems to be found out here tonight.
All right, nothing. I'm wasting time out here. I'm going to head back to hotel, see if Mabel's got a message yet.
And you head back.
Because they could be anywhere by now.
Mm-hmm. You head back to the motel and you recall Jesse promised to go and get you some information. He promised to go inside and have a look around for you.
Mm-hmm.
He told you he'd found something. He'd left you a cryptic message.
Yeah.
The wheel lies.
Mm-hmm. And the people are the wheel.
And the people are the wheel.
All right. Do I remember? I probably know where Myra is staying, right? Where she lives?
You could probably make an educated guess. Yeah.
Okay.
He's
I'm
probably
gonna
in one of the long stay style motels.
I'm gonna check quickly with Mabel, see if she's got any word yet.
Nope, nothing. What's 6 down?
6 down, that would be Sassafras.
Why didn't I think of that? And she fills in the word. Am I supposed to be waiting for a message for you, Obi?
Yeah. I'm expecting a message anytime from, what does he go by these days? I think he goes by Peterson now. He'll be calling probably from the Grand Phoenix Casino.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be back pretty quick to try to get it. It's a very, let me put it this way, urgent would not be an urgent enough description of how quickly I need the information from him. So I'll be back pretty quick.
Is your cute cabin friend coming back?
That I don't know. They've got their they got their jobs to do. I'm busy trying to do mine.
Sure is a shame. All right, Obi. I'll keep an eye out for your phone call.
Don't worry,
Or-
there's plenty of captains out in the sea there for you. And I head quickly out to Myra to try to find
In the middle
Myra.
of the desert. She calls after you.
What's that?
She calls out that it's a shame she lives in the middle of a desert. And you head out to find Moira. You go to the long stay motel, which is kind of one of those places that only takes women, that kind of hostel.
Mm-hmm.
And the landlady answers the door as you ring, and it's a traditional kind of bell that gongs.
Ding-a-ling. Yep.
And she comes out. Her hair is already all in curlers. She's got her hair net over the top. Her flannel house coat is wrapped around tightly. Good evening, sir.
I need to know if Myra's around. I need to talk to her quick. It's important.
I'm afraid it's too late for gentlemen callers. If you could come back in the morning, I'm sure she'll be here for you.
Well,
then.
this isn't a gentleman caller thing. This is if someone's life might be in the balance kind of thing.
What's happened now?
Let's just say one of my friends is kidnapped and she might have some information on where he might have gone or been taken.
And she looks alarmed. She's had a lot of stories on the strip, the same as you have. And she pushes the door too, and you hear the rattle of the chain, and you hear her call out for Moira to get her butt down the stairs. There's a man here. Someone's gone missing. And you hear the sound of heeled feet running down the stairs. Moira appears behind the landlady. She's in a full Vegas showgirl outfit, trying on her sequins. Her hair is perfectly coiffed and up with a feather adorning it in bright pink. Oh, hello, Obi. She lights up seeing you there at the door.
I know you're busy getting ready to head to the club or anything. I got to ask you something real quick. Last night, did you see anything weird or strange go on in there, especially involving Jesse?
I was practicing my routine. I'm not due to start till Friday.
Oh, that's right. Forgot about that.
What's wrong
Okay.
with Jesse?
Someone just stashed him up in a car and drove off with him. That's what.
That's not good, Obi.
Yeah. Now, you do your job and everything, but you be careful in there, okay?
Where do you think they're taking him?
I
You
don't
think
know.
they're taking him out there, do you? I
What's
heard
that?
stories about people getting dumped in the desert, you know.
Well, hopefully that's not going to be the case. So, all right, you just go ahead and finish your prep and all that. I just wanted to see if you'd seen anything, and I forgot you hadn't started there till another day or two. Sorry to interrupt you.
I saw Jesse go into the liquor store. He looked real pleased with himself.
Yeah, and that's when it's right not too long after that they nabbed him. All right, I gotta head out. You take care, okay, Myra? Keep
All
yourself
right.
safe.
I was just out there. What if they grabbed me?
Well, I don't think you had what they were looking for in this case. All right, you just take care. Go about your business.
The landlady kind of throws a comforting arm around the girl, and kind of half her house coat gets wrapped around as well, as modesty becomes an issue again. And she wishes you a good night.
All right, and I head on out. Thank the landlady for her time and for the interruption. Oh, this isn't good. This isn't good at all. All right, I head back I'm going to head back, double check with Mabel real quick, then I want to head back to the liquor store. See if I can find any clues there at all of who might have been there.
Mabel looks genuinely apologetic when she says she hasn't had a call from Peterson or anyone else. It's been kind of quiet.
Too quiet?
She seems uncertain.
Okay. No problem. All right. I head out to the liquor store, checking the area just to see if I can find any clues there on who might have been there.
Okay, you go back and you could speak to the liquor store guy because he would have had a close angle on what was going on.
All right,
How would you like to investigate?
I'll head in there to see if he saw anything.
Okay, so make a persuasion roll as you try and get this guy to admit that he's seen something.
All right, that's a success.
Success. Would you like to spend a point of luck to make that a hard success?
What in it? Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, perfect. You give the guy some persuading arguments, and he says, I got a pretty good view, if I'm honest.
What or who did you see?
It was Tony Radicelli. He's easy to recognize.
Tony the Rat, of course.
I didn't know the guy with him, but
Okay.
they spotted Jesse, pulled on over, and dragged the guy in.
Okay, well, that gets me a lot closer trying to track Jesse down then. All right. Anything else you remember? Anything at all?
Jesse just come in and he bought his normal drink, and he said something to me. He said, you got to watch out for the wheel.
Yeah, the wheel again.
And I asked him, what wheel are you talking about? And he says, oh, the roulette wheel, but the one that's made of people. And I nearly didn't serve him, to be honest, because that's crazy even for Jesse.
Yeah. Jesse's told some crazy stories, but he's never told anything that crazy.
And it doesn't sound like any game the Italian mafia or their friends might be interested in. But they do get creative out here.
Yeah. All right, thanks a lot, buddy. And I go on and head out outside. He's mixed up with Tony the Rat. Yeesh. That's not good, Jesse. That's not good at all. He's not one of the ones you want to be messing with.
All right, is there anything else you would like to do tonight?
No, what I would probably do at this point is head back to my room and probably maybe make a few phone calls with some contacts of mine, but I'm not sure. With it being Tony the Rat, I'm not sure how much they're going to tell me.
Okay. So you go back to the motel, up the stairs, and along the corridor to your room. You can hear the quiet conversation of two women in the room that you, I'm pretty sure you saw Robert go into earlier in the night. You hear that quiet conversation. You pass along and your other neighbors are home. And they're busy having an argument about something. Probably one of them lost more than they should have. That's the usual argument here in Vegas.
Yep. Something I've only hear about 20 times a night. 30 on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I go back to my room, try to go through what files I've got, and then maybe make a phone call or two later. Right now, there's not much I can do.
Okay. Tell me about Tony the Rat. As you go through your files and you look through your notes.
Tony the Rat is one of the newer guys in town. He's not part of the Newport, Kentucky crowd that I came over with. They came straight from New York City. And he's been trying to make waves, trying to become the big fish in this small ocean out here. And he's got some friends, but he's probably got more enemies than he's got friends out here. And he's not rather than the little more laid back way that we usually resolve our problems, he tends to be a little bit more, shall we say, upfront with his confrontations in a way that a lot of us don't like, and a lot of the groups are working to try to ferret the rat out, if you pardon the pun. But they're having a lot of difficulties in doing so because he's just got enough money behind him to keep him entrenched in. So he's kind of when it comes to the casino world out here, he's kind of an island unto himself. But being like the kind he is, he wants to make that island bigger, and the rest of the city ain't letting him.
All right, and as you go through your notes and you piece together previous movements, theories, and the details of Tony the Rat, let us move out of Vegas and towards a small family home, the home of Captain Robert Dabrowski, his wife Dottie, and son Bobby Jr. The dark Labrador comes padding out of the living room and into the kitchen, investigating the smell of lemon drizzle cake and the guests that have arrived in Captain Robert's home. Captain Robert, you're upstairs with your son, who has insisted on playing a new record for you. And Doris Day blares out a missive about her secret love. And Bobby climbs up onto his bed, and he mimes being a cowboy, shooting at foes out in the beyond the wall of his bedroom. He'd shot you when you'd arrived home tonight. And as Doris finishes her melody, he turns to you, jumping down, landing on his bum on the bed, a small bounce of the mattress underneath him. And he says, Pa, it's Saturday tomorrow. That means I don't have to go to school. That means we could go do something, right? We could go to the movies. Or, I don't know, we could do anything. We could have real adventure.
I'm real sorry, buddy, that Daddy's got to work.
But you're home.
Mm-hmm.
Mama said you work away.
Well, work's come here now.
Oh. I thought you'd come home to see me and Mama.
Hey, I have too, you know. You take these opportunities when you can, okay?
Okay. What opportunity should I take this weekend, Daddy?
I don't know. What do you want to do?
Well, if we can't go on an adventure, maybe me and Grim will go on an adventure.
Yeah.
I saw a rat snake in the yard yesterday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I got this. And he scrambles under his bed and he pulls out this wooden gun, and it's an elastic band gun. I reckon I could take out that mean old rattler.
I do too.
Like you did in the war, shooting down the planes.
Yeah.
Oh, and maybe if you finish your work early, I can show you my new dance.
Yeah, I'd love that, man. Yeah.
You know there's a new Howard Keel movie coming out soon.
I didn't.
Mm-hmm. It's another cowboy one. I like those best.
Good.
I want to be just like Howard when I grow up.
Sure.
I want to be a cowboy, and I want to sing, and I want to dance.
Well, we're not really in cowboy country, you know.
We got a desert right out there.
That's true. But there's not exactly a lot of farmland or anything out there, so what are you going to farm?
Sunflowers. Wouldn't that be nice?
Whole field.
They're real tall. They grow taller than me.
They do. They grow taller than me.
Maybe I should move to Oklahoma. I hear there's cowboys there.
We're not moving to Oklahoma.
Mama said you moved over a lot of places when you were younger.
When I was younger, sure. But now I've got responsibilities.
I don't want to go old. Sounds boring.
All right.
I was reading a comic book yesterday.
Yeah?
I got all the words myself.
Good.
It was all about these men from outer space. I don't like it as much as cowboys, but it was pretty good. You know, they're saying one day that we'll go to outer space.
Maybe we will.
Do you think they'll need cowboys on the moon, Daddy?
No.
Oh. Why not?
Well,
Isn't being a cowboy all about finding new places and taking your cows there?
Well, it kind of is, but now cowboys don't herd cheese, do they? The moon's
No,
made.
but cows make cheese, right?
They do. Maybe there are cows on the moon.
Is that why the cow jumped over the moon? Is that how the moon was made?
I don't know.
I never understood the bit where the dish ran away with the spoon.
I never got it either. Look, it's bedtime.
But I didn't meet your friends proper yet.
You can meet them tomorrow. Okay?
Okay. I'll get up real early.
Sure.
Alright, I'll go to sleep right now. And he, dives under his covers and he pulls them all the way up, above his nose to just under his eyes, and he peers at you. And then he closes his eyes, squeezes them real tight. See, I'm going to sleep real soon.
Uh-huh. As he's, walking out the bedroom door. He stops for a second to look back, just pausing for a minute.
And Bobby's, slowly lowering it, and he's watching you go.
They don't look like sleeping.
I'm glad you're home, Daddy.
Glad I'm home too, buddy.
You gonna stay a while?
I hope so.
Then we'll go to the movies next weekend. And he pulls up the cover again.
Sure.
Downstairs in the kitchen, Dottie has made sure you've all had cake and coffee, tea if you like tea. She's doing her best to provide for you on this short notice that Robert gave her that there would be guests. And the phone rings. And she excuses herself to go and answer it. Betty, Chris, you're alone in the quiet of this home. What do you do?
Is the dog still there?
Oh yeah, you're alone except for Grim. I apologize. Grim is still in the room.
Well, Chris would just turn to Grim and maybe provide Grim with more merit than it. I mean, he just turns, "Hi, Grim," and he'll just sit down as close as he can and put his hand on the dog's head because it's been a while.
And Grim's mouth comes open, this lazy pink tongue vibrates as he pants happily under your hand. His nose is wet as he raises it up.
Chris will just pet his old buddy.
Betty will be sat on a kitchen chair with her ankles crossed, her hands folded very tightly in her lap, feeling very awkward, very sort of discombobulated in the dirty overalls that she's still wearing from the scrapper's yard. And she's just going to be looking around, kind of just trying to process what's happening where she is. Just trying to let everything sink in.
And Grim looks over to you, and you hear the thwap, thwap, thwap of his tail as it wags against the countertop, looking at you, recognizing you as his friend.
She is very apprehensive seeing this dog that she doesn't know, and she's just not gonna move, but she's staring at him. So her hands, her knuckles get white as she clasps her hands tighter in her lap.
To help break the ice, Chris would look down at the dog and then look over at Betty and... Grim, that's Betty. Betty, this is Grim. Grim, go say hi.
Hello, Grim.
You hear his claws go across the tile of the floor in here. And he walks all the way up to you, big wet nose pressing into your legs or your hands, whichever he can reach.
Very gingerly sort of reach out and very softly pet him. But there's very hesitation. There's a lot of hesitation. Betty in the past with dogs has been dog, and jumped on it to pet it. And now she's very But after a little while, she's discovered that Grimm's not going to bite her hand off. She gives him pets. There's very reserved pets, but still pets.
And he sits down and his eyes close and his ears rest back. And the
Chris would
tail
add-
is still whacking quietly against the stool.
Chris would add, Grimm's from Salem, the land of witches.
Oh. Did I go there?
Mm-hmm.
I see. And I suppose we met Grimm there and brought him back with us?
Yeah, and we rode a bike built for one. It has a basket on the back. We drove it together.
Oh. I imagine that looked quite a sight.
We're a good team.
Just kind of very awkwardly just sort of... How long have I been part of the team?
It was your first mission. The day you started, we went to Salem. Found the books and we found Grimm. Found the woman that disappeared and the bike built for one. Since the beginning of the strange stuff.
I see. And she sort of like starts speaking and stops speaking a million times if she has, as if she has questions, but she just can't vocalize them right now. Like her head is swimming and she looks clearly fatigued by everything that's happening. And she'll just quietly sip her tea as she pets Grimm.
And you hear the thunderous sound of Captain Robert running downstairs to answer the ringing phone. Robert, I would like you to make a run dexterity type roll, please.
Oh wait, we did loads of these before, didn't we? And I put some points in it.
I think so.
Where is it? Wasn't it like dodge checks or something?
Yeah, you did dodge.
Yeah, all the time. Can I use jump as I bound down the stairs like 3 at a time?
Sure.
Thanks. It's the same stat. I just wanted to use it. Do I use my advantage? My only remaining advantage? No. Fall over?
Yeah, you kind of hopping and skipping your way down. You prepare to basically leap 4 stairs to beat your wife to the phone. But you end up slipping. Your foot just slides off the edge and you tumble the last 3 steps, ending up in a heap at her feet. She frowns at you and answers the phone. Good evening. Yes, he's right here. And she holds out the phone to you.
Thank you. Hello?
All right. Robert.
I'm fine. Like he's on the phone. Like.
Yeah. And she kind of gives him a frown, like, what's gotten into you? And goes through to the kitchen to the guests. Adam Flint is on the other end of the phone line. Good evening, Robert. I had a feeling we might find you at home.
I'm sorry, who is this?
Adam Flint.
And what do I owe the pleasure?
I thought you might like a heads up that your previous associates and teammates have been seen in Las Vegas. Coincidentally, where you are. I also wanted to check in to see how you got along with our contact down there.
Mr. Diaz got some leads, but apart from that, I'm gonna follow them up tomorrow, but apart from that, not much. Sorry.
Your associates escaped a government facility, Captain Dabrowski. Not that I need to remind you. It would be prudent, at the minimum, to report if you had seen any of them. It would be expected that you would apprehend them if you'd had additional contact.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't speak to that, so.
You can't speak to it, or you'd rather not say.
I can't speak to it because I don't have any information for you.
Very well. Please do call should you come across any of them.
Will do.
They're very dangerous, Captain Dabrowski. And I would be very cautious about what I would expose your family to. They do live very close to Las Vegas.
Thank you.
Good night, Captain.
Well, good night, sir. And I hang up the phone.
Okay.
I walk straight into the kitchen diner thing. The other two are in. I'll just say, they know you're here. That was Flint.
As in they know we're at your house?
Yeah, I think so.
Right. And what next? What do we do?
I don't know just a second, but I'm sure we can come up with something.
Was I not meant to tell him you were here? He's your boss, no? Dottie looks genuinely like horror struck.
Dottie, did you tell him that they were here?
You heard all the words I said to him. He did call earlier and I said I was expecting you.
Expecting me, but expecting anybody else?
I said that you were coming home and I had to get ready because we were having guests. Oh no. I'm sorry, Robert. I didn't think. I was so busy worrying that the cake wasn't gonna cook.
Chris goes over by the window. Peeks out.
Okay. Robert, does your kitchen face out onto the front or the back of the house?
Back.
Greg, if you'd like to make a spot hidden for Chris as you peer out into the dark.
I would. It's very dark in Vegas.
It is very dark. And you can see all the tiny pinpricks of light. As out here where Robert's home is situated, the light pollution is very low. And there are so many stars up in that sky. Betty, what are you up to? You see Chris go to the window.
I feel like she, not really knowing what to do, but feeling like she has to do something. She's kind of like stood up as if to be doing something, but he's just kind of like aimlessly like, what do we do? She's looking around.
Grim offers you something to do as he headbutts you for more fussing.
I fuss him a bit more because just stress fuss the dog. I think she would turn and say, do we have time to leave again? Would they send someone straight away? Or was it just a threat?
No, if they're not doing anything about it, maybe they're testing us, testing me, or I don't know. I don't usually do this kind of spy shit. What would I know about Maggie's files plan?
I think you know that she called someone for some information. She was going to attempt to reach out to a contact she had. And I believe that's why she explained they had to stay behind, because the files were being shipped to the motel.
Is there anywhere else that we can go?
If you'd like to attempt to think of somewhere, like a safe house or similar, you can make a luck roll unless a member of your team has a suggestion.
Charlie, I know that Chris failed, but as soon as Chris pulls himself away from the stars, he's going to look at Grim to see if Grim reacts in any way, like there's somebody getting close to the house, or, you know, if he starts to growl or perks up, or...
Grim is currently preoccupied comforting Betty. But if you were to tell him to watch the door or anything, then you could draw his attention to something if you'd like.
No, dogs don't talk, Charlie, so he's just going to wait until Grim reacts, however Grim's going to react.
Okay. I didn't know if you were going to pull some truth shenanigans. It's always a possibility with you.
Doesn't use truth on his friends. It's predictable.
Alright. Bessie, you have no idea where you are. You don't particularly know who these people are.
Mm-hmm.
Where would it occur to you to hide?
She knows she's in Vegas, right? Because she's aware of where she is in the present day. I think she would say maybe we should head back into the city and hide amongst all the people there, rather than out here in the suburbs.
Yeah, but the only place we've already got is that motel.
Which they already know about.
Unless we find another motel.
We could do that.
883 rooms in the greater Las Vegas area.
All right. I want to look for a, Vegas phone book.
You would have a phone book in your home.
I'm just going to dial the 7th motel on the list.
Okay. And the phone rings and is answered by a man. Good evening, Nevada. Happy nights. How can I help you?
Here, I'm looking to book 2 people in tonight. Is it still too late, or are we able to come by?
This is Vegas. It's like New York. We never sleep.
It sounds like it. So could I book 2 people in? We'll swing straight by.
Sure. What names will be on the registry?
Doris Day?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Doris.
she's not by for a while. Sure. And he makes a note.
Yeah, I did the whole Doris Day and some other film star guy. Who did Bobby Jr. just mention?
Howard Keel.
There you go. Howard Keel and Doris Day.
You can hear the guy's amused and he just takes it down. The 1950s equivalent of, Brittany and Justin checking into a motel.
Modern reference there, Charlie.
Nice.
Real current.
Anyone currently dating? Everyone keeps breaking up. Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande check into a motel together.
No, it's still elves, I think.
Billy, Eilish, and someone chicken Lord. That's
Should we-
someone. That's a person. Lana Del Rey, also
Yeah.
a person.
That's the person. Should we stop?
Okay, so you begin to this room, and as you are about to hang up the phone call, the doorbell rings, and there is a knock. And Grim comes padding out of the lounge towards the door. He lets out a gruff, low.
Well-trained dog. I would turn to Dottie and I would say, go upstairs and see the Bobby Jr.
She nods. She looks really apologetic at all of you. This is entirely her fault in her mind, and she hurries up the stairs to her son.
I will pull out my Colt and open the door with the gun like behind the door, held to my side. Or like held up as I kind of lean on the back of it.
A tall guy in a suit is stood on your doorstep. He has a hat and a jacket, keeping him warm against the cool of the Vegas night. And he looks at you expectantly. Captain Robert Dabrowski. I have information that there are a number of fugitives being harbored in this household.
Do you?
And he holds up his badge, and it's an FBI badge.
Chris would get up and stand in front of Betty, or put himself in between, and he would whisper, "They won't shoot me, at least not in the head."
She'll just put a soft hand on his arm. Just pat him a little bit.
I will open the door wide, stepping back with it to keep my hand behind the door and let the guy in.
And as you do, you see in the cul-de-sac there are two large vehicles, out of which more men are exiting. All in the same ominous bearing.
I stare.
Very good of you to cooperate.
I stare at Chris.
As the captain stares at Chris, Chris views Robert as the captain of the team. And he knows that at this point he has to do something. He has to swing away. He has to do whatever the captain says, and he's not sure how to read the eyes, but he's going to try to do what he can do, and he and Betty are the lead-off hitters. So he's going to attempt to use the card he created when they were in incarceration, the Maggie card that he made in his mind when they worked together. The one that has her swinging away at a bat on a perfectly emblazoned imaginary baseball card. And I'm going to try truth with this, and I'm going to try to see if Chris can tap into anything where he was able to use the ability to be talked through picking the lock. He wants to see if there's anything else of Maggie's that he could do, namely not being Chris and being Maggie to get out of this situation.
Okay, roll me your truth roll.
I am going to use a advantage on this one. Oh, I did not move it back either. Hold on.
No problem.
I will spend 11 or 9 luck to make this work.
Okay. You spend your luck. Maggie, you had been just talking to Dr. Rhonda Nash. You'd been sat there as she sewed up your arm patiently. You had been trying to figure out your plan for the next day, waiting on those files to arrive. And now you're in a suburban house. You feel Betty's hand on your arm. You see government men coming in through the door, and Captain Robert is staring at you. Maggie, you are in a 6'5" body. It's wide and lanky compared to your own. You have a nasty feeling you're Chris. But you don't have time to deal with that right now. Robert is looking to you. What do you do?
What kind of room do I appear to be standing in? This is the
You're
kitchen.
in the kitchen, but it's kind of one of those open arch into the hallway which leads to the front door.
Okay. Is there another door that goes into a different room here, or to outside?
There is a living room off the one side. There are stairs that go upstairs on the other side, and in the kitchen there is a back door. No, that's not right. Kitchen's at the front. The living room or somewhere like that may have a back door. You can tell you're at the front of the house.
Okay. Maggie's going to think back to, she doesn't know how she got here, but she can figure out very quickly what's going on. So she needs an escape route. Can I have a look around, and using my, like, the FBI and the CIA training, what they're going to check for least? As in, like, is there a, can we get out and, like, where wouldn't they go? She's trying to think in that split second, what are they doing? How would she enter this house and check for somebody? Because that's what it looks like it is. Where would she least look for? Like, what are they least looking for to try and find a route out?
Okay. So let's call this intelligence. Unless you have a skill that you believe applies. I would maybe take a stealth roll, and we'll use it as your knowledge of stealth is informing the roll.
Okay, I mean, I was happy with intelligence, but
Okay.
we'll go stealth. Or would spot hidden work? Oh, have we lost Charlie?
Sorry, my camera has just disappeared again. Sorry, Greg.
Would spot hidden work, as in spotting that
I'll
route,
take
that
a
exit?
spot hidden.
Cool.
Is it back? I apologize, we're all in the wrong places, but we'll manage.
I don't think I've got any advantages, so that is a fail. Can I push it?
Yep. All right.
Maggie's very disorientated.
With that, we'll be right back in one quick second, everybody. Hang on that fumble.
Welcome back to us. As my camera fails on me, and everyone is body swapping, including myself. Maggie, you feel a strange sensation, and you are pulled from Chris's body and into one of the men over the shoulder of the lead man. Only you hear Thomas's voice. It is time, Maggie. Now. Secure the asset. And there's a ping in your brain, and you see each of your friends as assets, people from the war that need to be secured. Chris, You are in Bobby Jr.'s body. You have no idea how you've come to be here, but you are upstairs now. As Dottie coos over you, she's concerned. She doesn't understand what is going on.
Mommy? Mommy, could you check and see if Dad is out there?
Of course he is. Where would he be going? She kind of strokes your hair affectionately.
What about Grim? Where's Grim?
Grim's in the kitchen. He'll be alright. Oh, Bobby, don't look at me like that. It'll be okay.
Could I have a glass of water, maybe from the bathroom faucet?
Alright, you stay right there. And she tiptoes to the door and peels it open as slowly as she can, and then along the corridor to the upstairs bathroom.
Bobby's going to the window, and he is going to grab his elastic band rifle, and with the grace of a dancer born, he is going to exit the house and see if he can help his friends.
Outside of Bobby's window, there is a tree that has grown large. At one point, Robert had promised to build a tree house, but he hasn't had time yet to make the construction. Luckily for you, the limbs are long, and you can scurry out with youthful grace of a dancer and kind of scramble down to the ground. You land in the dirt. It's a little bit awkward, and you catch your ankle just slightly, but it's not enough to slow you down as you grab the elastic band gun from beside you.
And with moves that will later be defined as Fosse, he will move towards, like, from one tree to the next to the corner, and he is arming his rubber band gun.
You are one singular sensation as you make your way out in the dark. And I would like everyone to make an initiative roll. This will be based on your dexterity. I don't think there is an actual initiative on here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Missing one? Oh no, that's right, Evelyn's not there. My bad. Okay, so it's going to be Virginia, you'll be acting first, followed by Betty, Virginia, Susie, and then Greg, and then Sam. Alright, Virginia, you're in the mind of this government man. Thomas is giving you a command to get the assets.
How aware of herself is Maggie at this point?
You know you're you. You are Maggie. You're in this other body, and you have a mission to complete.
And I'm assuming that I can see Chris then. Or I know where Chris is, because I've just been in his body.
Yep, you see Robert's right in front of you, Chris is just behind, and behind that is Betty. Your three assets conveniently like ducks in a row.
Is the body that she's in, is it armed?
It is. You can feel the weight of the handgun behind your blazer, and you can feel also one at your hip on the other side. You have two handguns.
And can Maggie try to resist following this order?
Not presently.
In which case, between the
you
body
fully believe you should complete this order.
Maggie kicks straight into CIA mode then. This is just like the bar back in Italy, except she's on the other side of it here. So she draws the handgun that she has, takes the cautionary step back away from Captain Robert, raises the gun, and basically tells him to get on his knees as she calls in the rest of the guys outside.
Okay, and you hear the sound of a door at the back of the house open with a thrust of a kick. And we will move around to Betty.
Okay, so there's clearly somebody's just come in the back door. Maggie has drawn a gun at the front at the captain. She just kind of stood behind Chris, not knowing what to do. I think she's.
Well, you don't know it's Maggie, just so you know.
Oh,
It's
no,
a
no,
government
a
agent.
guy with a government agent. Okay, she's going to stand very still, not make any sudden moves yet. In a sort of like surrender.
Kind of a hold action.
Yeah, she's gonna put her hands up like as though she's surrendering. Just to, don't shoot me kind of thing.
And Grim begins to fuss and bark at these people, deciding they are not meant to be here. Although he is not very menacing. Is definitely more sound. More, bark than bite going on with the old dog. Would you like to establish an action that would cause you to take action?
Yeah, if anybody goes to put a hand on her, then she's gonna just like throw an elbow or something, or grab something nearby and hit them with it.
You're in a kitchen, so you do have a full accompaniment of kitchen items.
Oh, well, I'll grab either, because they've got to have like a classic marble rolling pin or a knife.
There is a cake knife on the counter that has just been used to
Oh,
slice.
yeah, that's nice and blunt. That'll do some damage. Cool, yeah, I'll take that.
Cool. All right, so we'll say you discreetly remove the cake knife as your action. So you are armed should one move forward towards you, which brings us around to the next in line, which is Bobby Jr., Chris, out in the dark.
He's going towards their cars.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you scramble. Your legs much shorter than you're used to, but so is the whole of your form. It feels almost as if you've been shrunk by a shrink ray. Everything is smaller and the world seems so much bigger. But you scramble towards the cars.
In this moment, kind of free of the worry, disassociated, he loves the fact that he is this size, because Chris is incredibly uncomfortable being the height that he is. He can never turn that off. And so anytime he ever walks in anywhere or meets someone, or enters a public place, it's always met with continual and constant, at least in his mind, stares at his height and size. So for the first time since perhaps he was this size, he feels like himself. He is going to run and get into the driver's seat of the lead car.
All right, I need you to roll a D100 for me, please.
33.
Okay, you succeed in stealthing into the vehicle and climbing up into the front seat. The doors of the car were left open, and that is where we will leave you. When we move around to Captain Robert Dabrowski, as you see an agent draw their gun and tell you to get on your knees, you hear the bang of the back door. Grim is barking. You're muted.
Is that just one guy in front of me?
No, there are about 3 men in front of you. There's
Well,
the lead guy, and then there's 2 that come in from behind. One of which has the gun pointed at you.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my hands up and get on my knees.
Okay, and you go down onto your knees. You hear a click as handcuffs are pulled from a pocket. Any other action you'd like to take? Anything
Nope.
you'd like to say?
No.
Okay.
I am
Wait.
giving in.
Okay. The lead agent looks at you and nods. A good choice, Captain. And he moves to handcuff you. And the large form of Chris steps forward. And Dr. Nash, somehow, something strange has happened. And you're now in a body much larger than the one you're used to. You're seeing a house you're not familiar with and a strange situation unfolding in front of you. It's taking you a few seconds to adjust, and you see Robert going down to his knees. What do you do?
I look around, assess the situation. How many people am I surrounded by?
There are 3 men in front of you. One has a weapon drawn, the other is attempting to handcuff Captain Dabrowski. Behind you is Betty and the dog Grim, and you can hear the sound of movement in the house behind you and beyond. Probably more people coming in through the back door.
Can I tell what I'm wearing? Can I assess figure out who I might be?
If you glance down, I would say that you could recognize you're in Chris's outfit. You're very familiar with what he is wearing. And you see a baseball card kind of just tucked into his shirt pocket.
So yeah, I actually start touching around to see if there's anything else in his pockets. I would imagine that anyone looking around might perceive this as just one of Chris's nervous tics.
Okay, Chris, what else do you have in your pockets?
Well, he doesn't have his baseball cards because they were taken from him back in the day. You would find a ton of gum, though, as he's tried to replicate the baseball cards and then tossed out the cards, but you keep the gum, of course. He has no weapons. He has no paper. He has no pencil. He doesn't have any identification.
And Charlie, front door in front of us is blocked.
Yep.
Back door, someone's coming in. Any other exits?
You can see there is another room off to one side on the corridor in front of you, and there are also stairs upstairs. You're not familiar with this house. You have no inclination about that. There is a window in this room, but it leads out onto the front.
I grab Betty and try and run to that side room, not the upstairs.
Okay. And that brings us around to the top of the round, to Maggie Davis in Agent X's body. You see Robert go down to his knees, and your lead agent is apprehending him. And then in a burst of speed, Chris and Betty disappear into a room off to the side, quicker than you can react with your firearm as you've been focused on Robert. What do you do?
Every time. She still can't resist this at the moment, I'm guessing, so she will dart forward into the room that they've gone into to see if she can see them.
Okay, and you dart forward and into the living room. The living room is painted in a sunshine yellow color. There is fresh cream furniture in here, a fireplace, and a large bay window which looks out onto the back garden, which seems to be dusty and dark. You can't see very far. And the lights were not on in this room, which doesn't help.
Since she has can she see either Chris or Betty in here?
Yep, you can see that they have come into this room. Chris, Betty, aka Edelyn and Betty, would you have hidden as you came into this room? Or would you be looking towards the bay window as an exit? Or something
Window,
else?
right?
I'd be going for an exit.
Yeah, the window, I think.
Okay. Then I will allow these things to happen simultaneously. Betty, you are faced with the window, and you may attempt to escape through it. You can either break the window, attempt to open it, or come up with some other creative way of transforming yourself through this pane of glass.
Do I have ghost powers? Do I still have a remnant of my ghost powers, Charlie? Is that what you're trying to hint at me?
I would allow you to roll truth in an attempt to summon your ghost powers.
Oh, we gotta do it, right? We gotta do it. I've got an advantage. Let's do it. Okay. Where's truth? Where are you at? That's the
That's the Cthulhu mythos.
Oh, it's gonna. If this works.
It's a hard one.
Oh, it's a real hard one. I have an advantage. Nope.
Okay.
Wait, I've got
You-
shitloads of luck. Can I just spend a shitload of luck to make that happen?
You can. If you have 29 points of luck, you can empty that out and make that first roll a success.
I'm going to do that.
Okay. And you stare at the window, you see your own reflection in those bright blue eyes, and for a moment they glow. And you take a breath. And it's a night breath, a night air breath, as you now stand the other side of the glass. Maggie, you see this happen before you. 1 minute Betty is in this room, the next minute she is gone and out beyond your vision. Chris still stands there, scrambling towards the bay window.
Maggie will go to shoot him in the back of the thigh. She doesn't want to kill him. She's got to recover him, but he needs to not
Let's recover
run.
the asset. All right, make a firearm, please. Roll.
Handguns. Success.
Okay. Dr. Nash, you feel the searing pain as a bullet rips into the flesh of your thigh, and you tumble down to the ground. If you'd like to roll the damage on that, I'm not. If you have a gun on your sheet.
I never wrote it down because you said that Maggie did have one, but I don't think I ever got around to actually putting it.
We'll call this 2d6. No, 1d6. We'll call it 1d6.
I've got a Browning with a 1d10 plus 2.
Okay, we'll do 1d10 plus 2.
Six.
All right, and that is 6 damage, and Chris will tumble to the ground. Dr. Nash, please make a Constitution roll for me, please. Okay, you feel that agony tear through you, and Chris's body falls limp, and you return to the Vegas motel. In your lap, Maggie Davis seems to have passed out, and you're alone in the night. We will come back to you in a moment. And this will bring us around in our initiative to young Bobby Jr.
Okay, so Bobby Jr. is going to start the car, and he is going to ram the people outside of his house.
All right. Make me a drive check, please, Chris.
Okay, hold on. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to use that last advantage that I have, because my drive is no bueno. Oh, there we go! What I'm talking about!
And you reach down for the pedal, and your leg is about 2 feet shorter than you're used to, and then you squeeze down in the seat and you ram that foot on the accelerator, and this car plows forwards, and you just plow, and you thud and you thud and you thud as you pass through these people near the front door. Do you stop before you hit the house?
Absolutely, and he is using his elastic band rifle to control the pedals. So as soon as he hears that third thud, because Chris counted the number, he did the math for this murder, he hits the brake with his wooden rifle, which is of course loaded and ready to go.
And you hit it, and would you like the car to remain facing towards the house, or to spin and face out and towards the cul-de-sac?
In homage to the body he inhabits of Bobby Jr., he would like this to be he's going to twirl. As he comes in, he's going to twirl and thud, 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 and just kind of...
You just side swipe all of them as you pirouette around in this FBI vehicle. The engine remains on, and you remain ready to go. The option to reverse, the option to drive forwards. So any additional kind of minor action you'd like to take?
Yes, he is going to if he can, open the passenger door, which should now be facing the front of the house, and the eyes of Bobby Jr. would meet his father's, who is on his knees, and he would say, "Get in, Captain."
And because I think it's super fucking cool, Robert, this is what you witness just beyond the remaining government man in front of you. You have one behind you that's attempting to handcuff you right now. One has disappeared into the living room after Maggie and Chris. No, after Betty and Chris. I apologize. And it's your turn, I think.
I'm gonna try and basically like rugby tackle the one in front of me, so I can try and get to the front door.
Okay, so as you surge forward, it's a fighting brawl check, please.
Oh, good. The one I'm super duper at, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm not. Have I got an advantage still? I'm using it. I can spend... How much luck is that? Jeez. 14 of my 24 to do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you plow into and through this guy who just hits the ground with a hard head smacking into the doorstep behind him. You may begin the next part of your action if you would like. I'm not sure what your plan is from this point.
I don't know either.
Okay.
I'm willing to just like take a millisecond of inaction to just
Okay.
be like,
sure. So
where am I?
Knock this guy down, and then you take a moment to figure out where the rest of your team are and all of that information. We will move on around then. I've lost track of where we are in initiative, so let's cut to Virginia. Maggie Davis.
So, the body of Chris is now like on the floor, right?
And it appears to be unconscious, non-responsive.
Okay, she'll can she still see Betty through the like outside of the window?
Yes.
Okay, she'll move up to where Chris's body is and do that quick cautionary like check down that he is down.
Mm-hmm.
Does he still appear to be breathing? Like he's not bleeding out? Okay. As long as she's sure that he's alive, because that's the important thing in recovering assets, she's going to do the same thing for Betty. Aiming up at the window towards not center body mass, but towards like the back of the thigh, or like the top of the shoulder, somewhere that she feels like she can hit without killing them, and tries to account for the fact the bullet's going to hit through a pane of glass first and all of that.
You can take your shot.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to say, 3 sessions back, I fired off an entire magazine from my pistol and I couldn't hit a car, not once, out of 6 shots.
Freya.
You fire this gun, you've taken into account the glass. She's just the other side. You fire it and the glass explodes. But Betty remains there, completely unharmed by this bullet. She is a ghost. A bullet can do no harm. And we will leave you there staring as the agent gets up from behind the agent behind Borowski that had been coming in with the handcuffs, draws his gun and approaches. And from the top landing, Dottie launches herself to keep him from shooting her husband in the back of the head. And she hits the ground hard and he hits the ground in a terrible tumble. And there is a grapple for the gun. And in this tense moment of a grapple for a gun, we are going to move around again to Bobby Jr. You hear the sound of running footsteps from around the side of the house, almost retracing the route you had taken down from your bedroom. People have heard the scrabble at the front. They've heard the ram of the car and the impact of the vehicle on the bodies of men, the shouts, the cries, the gunshots, and they have moved around. You don't know how many are still in the house, but there are people coming for you. What do you do?
The first thing he does is he yells out in the voice of Bobby Jr., "Grim, help Dad!" And then can he see Betty?
Yep, you can see Betty has kind of materialized and is... Betty, are you moving around towards the car? Before I say what you're doing. Okay. And she's beginning to move towards you. We'll do your turns in sync for the sake of this.
He is going to, if there's any weapons in the car, like clipped shotguns to the dash, or, you know, if it's an FBI agent car, they usually have some type of weaponry that's just kind of around. Maybe not, who knows. He would indicate those to Betty, but he's not going to use any of them if they're present because he doesn't have the time. So instead, he's going to stare down the sights of his wooden elastic rubber band gun. He's going to give it one final crank on the wheel, and he's going to exhale as he takes the shot, and he is going to try to take the person that is like tussling with his mother in the eye.
All right, make that shot for me.
I don't have any thing to use against this.
This is a firearm check.
I'm assuming rifle, because of course.
Yes. Sure. Whichever firearm you're best at.
I'm gonna push it. Can I push it? What's the worst that can happen?
Yep. Push it real good.
Yeah, baby! What?
It's a moment of pure stillness and silence. You exhale, your breath held, your heartbeat slowed. You aim it. And in your head, you see this vortex of maths as you predict the angle, the trajectory, and you nail this guy in the eye. Just a twing. And he has to stop going for the gun, and he grabs his eye. And you see Grim tear out of the kitchen and grab onto this guy's ankle, snarling and vicious.
And whispering to himself as that breath exhales and he opens both eyes, he would say, "Get away from my mama."
Okay. And that'll bring us around to Captain Dabrowski as you see an elastic band just ping past your head into the eye of the man that is grappling with your wife for a gun behind you. The guy in front of you seems to be drowsy, coming back after his head is conked onto the doorstep. There has been a gunshot in the living room, and apparently your son is now driving an FBI vehicle, and you can see Betty making her way into the back. Betty, please roll a luck check, see if you can find a weapon in the back. You still have your kitchen knife.
That's a fail.
Okay, you cannot locate a weapon in the back of this vehicle. You kind of glance the normal places up on the ceiling and down in the footwells, but it seems this place has been cleared out of weaponry. Captain Dabrowski, what do you do?
I don't know if I can, Charlie. What the fuck?
Okay. Tell me what you want to do.
No, I
Tell
got
me
it.
what you want to do.
I got it. Is there a pistol in reach? On the
Yeah,
floor?
you could take the one off the guy in front of you. He's got it in his holster.
Right. I'm going to take that and I'm going to shoot the G-Man shooter. The one that Maggie's inhabiting at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you get up, you scramble into the living room. You see where the shooter is there, pointing out. Chris is on the floor. You can see a lot of blood coming out of a wound in his leg, and he appears unconscious. There's no sign of Betty in this room. That's right, you've seen her out in the cul-de-sac. She's moving, she's alive. Take your shot.
How far away is this guy?
He stands by the window, so he's probably about 10 feet from you. How big is your living room?
How big is the living room? I don't know. Like middling to not very big.
He is middling to not very big away from you.
Like, all I want to do is aim center body mass. I don't want to do anything fancy, but I just don't want to miss. All right. I'm just
Okay.
going to put it up front with you now. I just don't want to miss. And it's
Don't wanna miss.
45, and I don't think 45 is very accurate to the situation. But it's a snapshot. I've done it really quickly. I'm sure
Okay.
sure I can miss, and there's no advantage. Or
I
anything.
will keep this in mind. Make your roll.
I'm sure I'll miss. Fucking told you. There we go. Can I push it?
Yeah, I threw it in Zoom. You have 3 shots when you're within 10 feet, so you can fan the hammer. It doesn't reduce your...
You can.
Oh, sure. Let's just fucking go for this guy.
There you go.
All right.
All right. So your first one misses and it shatters another of the bay window panes. Your second one just clocks him bang in the back. And Maggie, you feel this inhale, and it's wet and it's venting. And you inhale and you look up, and Rhonda is looking down at you, and you are back in the motel. Robert, you see this guy stumble. You take the second shot because you're fanning this hammer. You're getting the bullets out of this gun to stop this guy. And your other one, it just kind of pings off. It hits the fireplace and out another window pane. Your entire bay window is now destroyed. But down on the floor in front of you are Chris and the G-Man gunner.
I can't do anything now.
Yeah, you tell me what you do.
Shit. Okay. I'd probably rush over to Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Try and pick him up. Try and go out the bay window.
Okay, you grab him and he's heavy. Make a strength roll for me.
Yep.
Okay, it's a struggle, and you are basically having to drag this guy out. It's just going to take you a little longer to get out there. And we are going to move around the turn order. And we are going to get to Dottie and the G-Man in the room. He is like gripping his eye, and she's grabbed this gun and she's got it pointed at him while Grim is on this guy's leg. And the dog's eyes look up. And she looks at the dog, and neither of them particularly know what to do. And she just says, "Don't you move. Robert!" And you just hear this wail of your name from the hallway. And from the back of the house, there are a couple more men moving in to the kitchen area, or towards the kitchen area. Moving around. Bobby, you see your father is hefting out the lifeless form of you, seemingly lifeless form. Bessie is in the vehicle. You hear the cry of Dottie from in the hallway. What do you do?
He will move over to the passenger seat because maintaining, even in his appropriate body, Chris can't drive for any reason whatsoever. So he is going to reload the rubber band gun, and he's going to try to persuade his mother to get in the car. So if he can see where Grim is taking out, pulling on the leg of the fallen guy he shot in the eye, he's going to say, "Mama, get in the car!"
Okay. Is there any additional action you'd like to take at this time?
I'm going to ready an action with the elastic rubber band rifle to shoot the guy again, south of the eye, maybe like sensitive regions around the waist, if he begins to make a move towards his mom.
Okay, you do see 2 guys coming around the side of the house, and they will eventually reach Robert and your lifeless body. Unconscious body is the word I'm looking for. So you also have 2 targets approaching. Just for context.
I am an 8-year-old kid. What give me, what's around here? Like, is there a convenient drum of oil? Is there a vat of acid? Is there...
Fortunately,
Yes, we carry vats of acid in the front of our, on our porch, just so you know.
I knew it.
There's a propane-powered barbecue.
Nice.
Sure. So, being in the passenger side, he is going to run out and he's going to pull the hose out of the propane and open up the valve and allow propane to begin spilling into the air. Why not? Let's do it.
Sure. You go up onto the deck, load it up, and open up that propane valve. You call to your mother to get in the car. Chaos is breaking loose. Betty, anything you would like to do?
Okay, am I back being a person or am I still a very cool ghost?
You are a ghost.
Excellent. Okay, so being a ghost, Betty... Nope, she doesn't even... Fuck, she doesn't remember how awesome she was as a ghost. Okay, but... Shit, amnesia!
Shit, amnesia. Tell you what, roll me a power roll. This is the finale. I make up the rules here.
Success. I am undefeatable as a ghost, I am telling you.
You feel a strange rush and surge of energy. And it's one of those weird, like, rewind, fast forward moments in your head as all of these images just blast through. And you recall how awesome you were as a Force Ghost previously.
Excellent. Remembering my awesomeness as a ghost, I'm going to leave the car and head straight towards those two agents that are going for the captain.
Okay.
And I'm gonna pick up that propane tank as I go past. And I'm just gonna yeet it at the bastards.
As you would drift past, the body of Bobby Jr. would look up as you drift by. We make a really great team.
Yeah, we do, kid.
All right, you drift up and you yeet this propane tank. Use your power and make a roll for me.
Come on. S.
All right, you yeet this propane tank, and as it hits the ground, there is a spark, and the whole thing just goes in the face of these agents. One is knocked back. You see his suit catch on fire, and the other is in panic mode, and they are pushed back and away from this. In the corridor, in the living room, Robert, you are dragging Chris out the bay window. You hear your wife call for you. You hear also Bobby's call for his mom to hurry up and get in the car. What do you do?
First, I yell at her to run. And then I'm just trying to get Chris out the bay window and around the corner.
Okay. So you can do this because we've just extended your action, so you can do this in this turn and drag him to the car. You see Dottie scramble and Grim hops over the body of the agent, kind of kicking him in the face with his back paws as he goes. And he kind of runs around your legs, barking happily as if this is a game, and then leaps up into the back of the car and lays across the lap of your wife, who is in there. She looks terrified and white. She's still gripping the gun, although she has no idea where to point it. And it's just pointing at the ceiling because it seems the least lethal place she could be pointing it right now.
I'm just going to get in the driver's seat, if that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
Driver's seat is open for you.
Is everyone here yet? Bobby
Betty,
Jr.'s out the
you
deck,
can...
right?
Yeah. Bobby, would you like to run back towards the car as you see your entire family exit the building and run?
Absolutely,
Along with your
yes.
unconscious body. Mm-hmm.
Seems like a
All
good
right.
idea.
Betty, are you gonna blast it back to the vehicle?
Yes.
All right. The vehicle is full and you scramble, and you may put your foot down, Captain, and drive on and out of this cul-de-sac.
Vroom. Okay.
Brum brum. And away you go, off into the night. Are you going back to Las Vegas?
Yeah, I'm going back to the motel.
All right. And you drive on through. Why don't we go to the motel, where Obadiah waits for a phone call, where Maggie Davis and Dr. Rhonda Nash have just returned to their own bodies after a very confusing journey. Let's have a little check-in with you two. How are you doing after that?
When Maggie returns back to her body, does she still have that urge to recover assets, or is that now gone?
Oh, well reminded. Please make a power roll for me.
Can I push it?
You can push it.
Nope, I don't have enough luck to undo that. Failed.
Okay. You still have the drive to acquire the assets, Right now, you can see only one asset, and that is the face of Dr. Rhonda Nash that stares down at you.
Maggie, in pulling herself up from the doctor's lap, blinking as she takes in her new surroundings, looks at the doctor, and we're still sitting on like the edge of the bed, right? Like, I imagine that they're nearly towards the end of the doctor having stitched up Maggie's arm, and she just looks at her and says, "Please, don't make me shoot you like I had to shoot Chris. Just come with me quietly." And reaches forward to basically stand up, grabbing the doctor's shoulder and trying to put it into essentially an armbar so she can have control of her before she can find something to bind her hands with, presumably.
I will say you're successful at this as you can catch Dr. Rhonda Nash off guard and you grab a hold on. And this is the state of play, Dr. Nash. What would you like to do?
The first thing Dr. Nash would do is try and reason with Maggie. Shoot me like you shot Chris. Shoot me with what?
Maggie, with her CIA training kicking in, she understands how reasoning and negotiation works and chooses to just say nothing. She just holds the doctor there, looking around the room for something to use as makeshift handcuffs.
Dr. Nash will reach into her DOP kit, where she grabbed the scalpel from, and she pulls out the handgun from the desk that she had taken when she and Betty were escaping. And she points it at Maggie. Don't
And
make
Maggie,
this,
you hear the click.
Maggie.
If Maggie sees the gun, she'd try to disarm the doctor.
Okay, Dr. Nash, if Maggie attempts to disarm you, what would your reaction be?
I would shoot her.
Alright, I would like Maggie to make me a brawl check, and Nash make me a gunshot, which is firearms handgun.
On 3. 1, 2. I didn't see what yours was.
Alright,
Mine is a fail by 1.
so close.
But, I don't know what to do, because Maggie is like, how determined is she to follow these orders, Charlie? Because this will determine whether or not I spend luck. Is this, like...
This is your mission.
I'll spend the... Is it 2 points of luck to succeed?
Would be 1 point of
Oh,
luck.
1 point of
or
luck.
You can push it.
If I push it, do I have to take the second roll? Or is it...
Yes, and it, basically if you fail, it causes a consequence. It also
No,
makes it one step harder. You want to spend
I
luck.
will.
Okay.
I will spend the luck. If Maggie's orders have got her that determined.
Alright, so this is what happens. You grab for the gun as Dr. Nash squeezes the trigger and it goes off. Maggie, you will take, let me see, 1 point of damage as the bullet just snatches across your face. Your brawl is successful and you manage to get a hold of the gun, and this has diverted that shot from being a full hit to your face. And the two of you have brawled, and Maggie, you've got the weapon now. What do you do?
Maggie makes her way over to where the door is, so she's between the doctor and the door, and holds it pointed, not in a sense that she's aiming directly at the doctor, but in the I have the gun, I'm in control, and just says sit down.
Obadiah, you hear a gunshot 2 or 3 doors down the corridor from you in the
I was just about to
agent's
ask you.
room. Mhm.
All right, I hear what's going. I hear the gunshot. I instinctively reach up, make sure my revolver's still in my holster, and I head to the door, and with my hand on my gun, but still in the holster. I crack the door open up enough so I can look down the hallway to see if I can see anyone moving or running down the hall.
There is no one moving or running down the hall. The neighbors have grown silent.
Okay. I pull my gun out and slowly work my way in the direction that I heard the gunshot come from.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of my back up against the wall and taking it slow, just like we did in the Newport days when we thought the revenuers were about to jump in on us.
Okay. You stealth your way down the corridor. Make me a stealth roll, please. Okay.
Nice.
You move quietly and slowly. Maggie, you don't hear anything outside of the door. Dr. Nash. Would you like to do as Maggie is taking control of the situation?
Dr. Nash sits on the bed. She follows Maggie's orders. But she's keeping her eye on her the entire time. Like she is trained on her, just looking for an opportunity to regain the upper hand.
Okay. Maggie, it's your turn.
Now that the doctor has sat on the bed, she knows the door is locked anyway, because we did that after the others left. How far is the distance between like the bed and the door? Is there somewhere that Maggie can sit
This
down?
is like a small motel room.
Small motel
and
room.
I think there are 2 beds in here.
Maggie, gun still in hand, walks slightly closer to Dr. Rhonda. But she's got it lowered. It's not pointed at her, but she's holding it firmly. She says, I'm really sorry. I didn't want to shoot you like I had to shoot Chris. I don't know how I shot Chris. This is what I have to do. My orders are my orders.
But you know it's not you, right? This is not what you have to do. Maggie, look at me. We've been working together for so long. And you and Chris, that's not you. And as Dr. Nash is talking to Maggie, she's slowly reaching her hand across the bed and grabs the scalpel from the side table.
Maggie probably wouldn't notice this because Maggie is now watching her. She's doing that. You're trying to convince me of something. She's seen this in negotiations before. So she's playing along that she's listening so that she can reason everything out as to why, no, this is me. This is what I have to do. She's not so much paying attention to what the doctor's doing as to what she's saying and what her intent is.
Okay, Dr. Nash, make a psychology roll for me, please.
With advantage?
If you have advantage.
I do. Oh, never mind.
Ooh. Nice.
I am a
And
psychologist after all.
You are just locked in listening to Dr. Nash, and you are completely oblivious to that hand that snakes out across the bed to the scalpel. Dr. Nash, you may act now, as I'm going to consider that Maggie is currently transfixed on listening to you.
Once I have the scalpel, I would just take a wide slice, hoping to land perpendicular to the stitched scar that I was just recently suturing.
Okay.
I want to cut the wire.
I'm going to call this a medicine roll.
With advantage? I think I have one
No.
more. No?
Do you have one more?
Maggie's transfixed though. She's not paying attention to the doctor's movement.
If you have one more, then
Yeah.
you can use one more. Oh no, because you didn't use that one just now. So yeah, you have that.
Yeah, that I just got. Oh, or
Yeah.
Okay, doing it.
Ooh.
Okay. All right.
That's a
You
hard
reach out
success.
and you swipe, and your cut is clean and true towards. What is your goal, Dr. Rhonda Nash?
I'm looking to cut the blue wire inside Maggie that I assume is what's controlling her.
And you do. And Obi, out in the hallway, it's dimly lit by cheap bulbs, and you see a flash under the door, bright electric blue flash that illuminates the space around you strangely. It's so bright. What do you do?
I see this kind of light going on. I'm thinking, okay, I don't know what kind of demon stuff is going on in there, but I'm gonna get ready to cast it out either by prayer or by lead. And I try to kick the door down.
Okay, so this will be a strength or a fighting brawl check, please.
Okay, fighting brawl.
Mm-hmm. And
As you
know
can tell,
these
he's
doors
full of the spirit.
very well. Yeah, you are motivated, and you know these doors well. You've seen a number of them kicked in. You've had yours kicked in. You've probably kicked in a few previously to rescue people before. And you just level that foot right where you know it's going to break that chain, and the chain smashes, and the door shifts off its hinge. And in the doorway behind you, Maggie Davis, as your arm is slashed open by Dr. Rhonda Nash, there is a man wielding a gun, and he points.
I point at the person with the gun.
Yes, very sensible.
I don't know what kind of teamwork you federal people do, but something's not right in here.
Charlie, now that Rhonda has snipped that cable, how does she feel?
You feel quiet, still. You feel like yourself, but in pain, familiar pain, all the way from your arm to your spine to your skull. But you do not feel the need to acquire the assets. Your mission is over.
In that moment, Maggie drops the gun that she's holding and then immediately realizes like the pain in her arm and just clutches it and just very quietly, doesn't say a word, just streaming with tears in that moment that she realized she's just been holding the doctor hostage. She shot Chris. Just kind of sinks to the floor on her knees and just pulls her arm into her chest, like holding it, and just looks like akin to a frightened animal as she looks at this man in the doorway with a gun and the doctor still holding the scalpel on the bed, and just looks at Rhonda and just says, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, Maggie. Like I said, it wasn't you. And Dr. Nash wraps her arms around Maggie and pulls her tight and looks at this man who's just burst into the room and says, get us some towels, will you? We need as many as we could find.
As you put your arms around her, Maggie will flinch away and then eventually just kind of, she doesn't lean into you, but she just kind of stays there. And she's still tense and uncomfortable and crying in pain as she tries to, you can see she's gritting her teeth trying not to make a sound, but
I'll run back to my room and grab all the towels I can that are in my bathroom. And on my way out, I reach in my bag and I grab some anointing oil, not knowing what's going on here. I don't know if I got to treat a person or cast out a demon. I'm not taking any chances. And then I head back to my room.
You see Mabel coming up the stairs. She's armed. Her gun is rhinestone bedazzled as it comes glinting up the stairs, coming to investigate what's going on. And she calls out, "I call the police! Everyone better stop shooting guns in my motel!"
Mabel, it's all right. I got everything under control. We don't need the police for this one.
Make a persuasion roll for me, please.
Oh, I hit the wrong button. Sorry.
That's okay.
All right, I want to spend some luck to make that a success.
Okay, so that's 2 points of luck.
For some reason, I get the feeling the last thing we need is the cops running around on this one, because I know that not all the cops in this area of the city are all that trustworthy.
Mm-hmm. Alright, Mabel kind of gives you the eye and slowly backs down the stairs and just says, "I didn't hear nothing, I guess.
Yeah.
Damn, where's my laundry?" And she kind of makes an excuse and
Tell them I saw
disappears.
a rat and decided to exterminate it for you. And that's all it was.
Yes, lots of rats in Vegas. Not in my motel. There are no rats in mine. And she
Not anymore.
goes off. And she goes off and she's talking to herself as she goes, and she'll make a phone call to Las Vegas PD to call off the incident.
All right. Well, at least that tells me that the phone's working. So I just gotta check to see if Peterson's called yet later. But that can wait. Something stranger's going on here, even than Jesse going away.
Right, and you return to the room, and you can begin kind of dealing with the situation there. And what I will say is in the time it takes to patch up and begin having conversations, your teammates will return to Las Vegas. But we are actually going to end the session here a little early tonight, as I've just looked at the time, and I don't think we can wrap up this finale right here, right now, in the next 25 minutes. So we're actually going to do a second finale next week, because encore for Bobby Jr. I want to thank the cast very much, and I hope this is going to work out for all of us. And thank you so much to the wonderful people in chat who have supported today. Thanks to Don for making things harder. You're the one that sent the hitman in via the back door, so cheers for that. And thanks to everyone else who helped in supporting. Let's go around the cast and crew, see how everyone is doing. What was your favorite scene, and where can we find you in the upcoming week? Thank you, Greg, for agreeing to let me come back next week, and we will wrap this up properly then, because there are still mysteries to solve, and I've had way too much fun letting you guys inhabit each other's bodies to hurry through to them. Let's start with the wonderful Susie, Betty Thomas.
Oh my god, what the hell happened tonight? Like, it just kind of just escalated and didn't stop escalating, and then we're like shooting FBI people and yeeting propane tanks at them and running them over and shooting them in the eye with oh, it was a lot. I think my favorite bit was Bobby Jr. dancing his way out of that window into the FBI car, only to then get a 4-star rating by killing 3 officers.
The GTA is strong with this one. And then the sniper elite, like, rubber band to the eyeball.
I was half expecting, like, when he was like, and with his breath, he says, "Requiescat in pace," as he shoots him in the eye.
Hasta la vista, baby.
But yeah, I'm excited for our finale part 2, Electric Boogaloo, next week. But I am Susanna Grace. You can find me all over the internet at Susanna Grace. I'm a variety streamer who does video games, art streams, and tabletop RPGs. I do have a pinned tweet on my Twitter, which will be getting updated real soon as things get announced. But you can catch me tomorrow on my channel, which is Susanna Grace with 1 N, where we'll be doing After the Fire, the chat show about our own Game of Thrones stream, where I will have most of the cast and we'll talk about our season 2 premiere. Very excited.
Awesome. Very exciting stuff that you can go and catch After the Fire on RPG Webby's YouTubes if you'd like to catch up with the fun of that. I'm in it, Don's in it, Susie's in it, that guy down there on my screen's in it. Let's move around to the wonderful Edelyn, who opened today's show with such a killer intro. Thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, it was truly my pleasure, and always just Such a pleasure to be here. I was really kind of stressing out about today being the finale, but now I'm stressing out about waiting another week for the finale. It was incredible. Bobby Jr. is just my all-time fave. Doesn't matter who's playing him. Well, I wasn't in the scene. Like, I had to open up Twitch just to make sure that I wasn't on the screen because I'm literally over here just like in tears, and I didn't want to be seen like that. He's amazing. So there's that. You can find me on Twitter at Edelyn Parker. Please come and say hello. And this is the game that I stream. So come here next week. I'd love to see y'all again, and then I'll miss you.
I swear I have a plan, but you guys started having fun, and I decided that was more interesting to me than my plan. So my plan got pushed back, and then I'm looking at the time, and we'll find out about this wheel made of people at some point, I'm sure. Hero, legend, captain of the Air Force. Sam, how are you doing?
You stop making excuses for what was an amazing session. I can't even. Just can't even. My favorite scene was actually the little bedroom scene with Bobby Jr. because I think it was a perfect bit of pacing and an amazing juxtaposition to what then fucking followed. Apart from that and Sniper Elite in the eye was great. That was freaking incredible. But yeah, for the shilly bit, what Charlie said about After the Fire, you can catch that on my channel. That is our Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire role-playing campaign. It is juicy fruits, folks, and it's full of them. We just started kind of a season 2 last week. Not sure how seasonal I'm going to keep it, just because there's just tons, and we all love the game. So we're going to keep on it. That's every Thursday. 8 p.m. UK time, that is 3 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, and then check out Susie's channel tomorrow for our group therapy session for it, basically. Yeah. Apart from that, catch me around the internet at RPG Webby.
And keep an eye out for updates on the wonderful Kickstarter that was the Spy Game, successfully funded a bajillion%. Yeah, keep an eye out for all those goodies and the emails about that.
Thank you.
Virginia, my wonderful super spy.
Hi.
How you doing?
Oh my god, I felt so guilty. I can't believe I actually got those shots off. Roll20 set me up, y'all. I fired off a whole magazine the other week into a car, and I missed every shot. And then somehow tonight, I hit every shot. I loved Maggie's scenes with Rhonda. I like that she's kind of Rhonda was the one at the beginning that most terrified her, because she is a psychologist. She knows what's going on. She understands people. What if she works it all out and just tells them I'm crazy? And now she's kind of the only one that she knows she can talk to about it, because Betty doesn't remember. Chris probably wouldn't make much sense of it in the way that Maggie might need him to. And the captain has never been overly fond of Maggie in the first place. So that was cool. But also Bobby Jr. Bobby Jr. He needs to be part of whatever epilogue this game has, Charlie. I'm begging you.
Well, right now, Chris is living in him, so...
I also do like OB just kicking the door in and being like, what the hell's going on here? What's wrong with all of you federal agents? This doesn't seem right.
He's here to preach and clear.
It was just, it was the whole thing of I'm either going to do it with holy water or lead. And I was like, yes. Maggie might need both. But otherwise, I am Virginia, and you can find me on Twitter at Tabletop Horde. I help make and write and develop RPGs. And I also stream as well, which is fun. Obviously, you can find me here next week, hopefully with the guys. And then I'm also on the After the Fire stream that's on Thursdays, where I play Mara, and everything's slowly going wrong for her. Maybe. We'll see. And you can also find me coming up soon, starting on Tuesday, September 17th, on Red Moon Role-Playing's podcast, playing Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus as well. So
awesome. Very exciting stuff. And Hawkeye, our wonderful guest, are you okay to come back next week?
Oh yeah, I'm fine. Just give me the time and the
Alright.
place. I'll be there.
Cool. How was today for you? What were your favorite parts, and where can we find you on the internet?
Oh, today was great. As they say, if you want to learn how to be good at something, hang around people that are great at it and learn from them. And I think I'm among some of the great right here today. It was just fantastic watching that whole battle scene between Bobby doing the dance routine out the window and then getting that sniper shot. It's like the whole bedroom scene with Bobby. It's like, oh, the memories it springs back for my little boy and all that, because he's got just as vivid imagination, if not more, and everything. That was probably the highlight for me. You can find me around Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube and Twitter at KY Hawkeye. I've just recently loaded the latest 2 episodes of Saving Throw Wrestling. Recorded one last night and got the last 2, that one and the previous one, up today. Got some interesting stuff in there, including some surprising activity between 2 tag team partners that aren't acting like partners. I won't say who. I'll let you look and see on that. Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. on my channel is my Lego stream. We're still doing the DC supervillains, trying to get all the gold bricks gathered there. Thursday night, same time, is my Skyrim serial, where Scandalon the Khajiit is up to his furry neck in all sorts of hijinks going on within the Thieves Guild. And then, of course, Saturday night is the thing here. And also tomorrow night, I'll be with Greg and a lot of the others here on this channel as we do our Star Trek, as I get to be a Trill science officer by the name of Malachi Jabez, who's got as many secrets and qualms behind his brain as everyone else, especially since he is a Trill who was joined, but wasn't necessarily by choice.
I love that. When I was going to play Star Trek Adventures, I wanted to play a Trill. I unfortunately didn't get to play that, but maybe one day I can dive and boldly go. Until then, though, I'm at Frost and Fire on the Twitters. I loved today's session. I went into it with just no idea about how today was going to go. I knew that agents were going to go to the captain's house. I knew that Obi would probably want to do some investigating, and I was really curious to see how Dr. Nash's ministrations, is that the word? Sure. We're going to go with the wonderful Maggie Davis, see if she would even survive how that went down. I'm very excited to see how we do next week. I have a pounding headache right now, but I've had the best Sunday and couldn't imagine better company if I tried. So, without further ado, let me hand over to Greg as I briefly remind you to check out Encounter Roleplay, because we're doing announcements this week of our shows that are coming up, and so those will be worth checking out because it's gonna be good. But until then, Greg, how are you doing today, friend?
Oh, I'm doing super well. This was super fun. It happens with a lot of shows here on Tales from the Grim. Whenever we have a split scene with casts that are shrouded and casts that are active, there is a ton of stuff going on in the backstage, which is a show unto itself. And I love when all that starts to happen. And today was just fantastic. I loved everything about it. That was a culmination of a great narrative, Charlie, where all of us just dropped into, oh, we're in somebody else's body. Charlie prepped us for this, no problem. And we just decided to go with it, and that was really, really, really fun. Grimjack21502 on the Twitter, part of the Tales from the Grim team here on the Twitch. Coming up, we have Star Trek Adventures tomorrow night, continuing mission at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have a little bit of video games this week with Tickles and Pancakes. We're taking on some Division 2. Wednesday night, we will have our May Black Roses Bloom Dark Dragonlance D&D, GM'd by none other than Donathan Fry. That begins at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then, let's see, Friday night, we have the push of our Alien RPG, the second part of our Alien RPG. That will be GM'd by producer Travis from WebDM. It'll be fun. And then we have a lot of super fun things coming up with Realms Remembered. We have a Western series that is coming this fall. We also have our community event, which is our Outbreak Undead multi-6 episode session, starting Friday afternoons, probably mid-September. The announcement will be going out this week to sign up for it. Everyone will be playing as themselves with the Outbreak Undead. How would you do in Apocalypse character generation system. So if you want to play yourself and see how you do in the apocalyptic world, join us. And join us on Discord for more information about that. But as a camp... wait a minute. We have something else, don't we, Charlie?
I think we do. As we pan to that campfire and we're about to do it in the outro, we hear the crackle of a radio. In the vehicle that Bobby Jr. drives, a sound, a voice from the dark.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for the gift of another day and another chance to reflect your glory, your brightness in the darkest night. Each day through our works, Lord, we seek to emulate you and your Son, Christ Jesus, by putting good back into this world where there is none. While we are beset on all sides by temptation, by ruin, by forces from beyond the moon, you are there with us, O Lord. Whether it is telling us to come to the plate and deliver once more, to take the air borne on the wings of freedom, to minister to those in need and body or soul, or to preach your good word every day, we serve you through all things, Lord. Each day we toil for your kingdom and glory. However, 2 Corinthians tells us, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. What this means is that we do toil in this life, we shall not in the next, as long as we accept Christ Jesus. And that time will come when we all must lay our tools down to rest at last. And we must assure that our works properly reflect the glory of Christ. As you go forth, think about what you have made. Look on your works and judge them good. In closing, I would like to remind you all in the grim listening of Proverbs chapter 4, verse 21. Let them not depart from thine eyes, keep them in the midst of thine heart. As long as we keep each of our brothers and sisters in our hearts or in our eyes, they are still with us. In the name of your holy Son, Christ Jesus. Amen. That was Reverend Johnny Silvertongue and the Godly Gilded Hour. Tune in next week.
And as the campfire goes down, there's only one thing left to say. Can't always roll nat 20s, but you can always role play. See you next week for the extra special finale.